BJ from Brother in the building. We about to react to this last video. I don't think it was. I don't think that was it. Yeah, I don't know. A YouTuber gets life in prison for hiring a hitman. This is in the person in the thumbnail is YM Bape. If you're from New York, YM Bape is a person that used to go around and saying F. He was saying what he saying. He's saying F Supreme, and he was wearing Bape. He's like the king of Bape. He used to go around New York and bully people for wearing Supreme. That's basically who this guy is right here, YM Bape. He's going around New York and bullying niggas for wearing Supreme. When I was younger, his vids was hilarious. Like as the adult, he was kind of wilding. But when I was younger, I thought he was funny as hell because he was literally like bullying any person that was Supreme. As an adult, it's like, bro, he was doing whatever. Like he was wilding. He was wilding. I'm from New York. I seen a lot of his videos when I was a kid. He was bugging. Like, and he was like really aggressive with it. Like he was not playing. Like if he was Supreme, it was like real beef. It was like real beef, like real Bape versus Supreme beef. He probably started
Meet
real
my bestie.
Bape versus Supreme beef
National
in actual
Universities
real life. Because he used to go so hard about that.
This YouTuber made wearing Supreme in New York City a dangerous thing for years, terrorizing the streets, harassing strangers, and building a viral empire out of pure hatred for a clothing brand, only to end up serving 28 years to life in prison. And this is all because
He got 28 years? What? 28? I thought he came home. I could have swore I seen him come home before. Like he was home. I seen him home. Like he came home. He was wearing Bape still, and like 3 years ago, right? I think so.
Actions cost the life of an innocent family man. So it's safe to say we have quite the tragic yet wild video today. And it's probably the most extreme case of fashion beef spiraling into real-world consequences that we've ever seen. Especially because this story actually starts back in 2016 to 2017 and only reached its conclusion now recently in 2025. Almost
10 years for them to realize what's going on.
Decade later. So meet Anthony Lopez, who became known online as YM Bape.
He's Dominican? Anthony this is I know black. I Dominican. This nigga's Dominican. I know he was Dominican. Like he gotta be Dominican and black. This is a Dominican and black me right here. I know black, I Dominican.
A man whose obsession with fashion drama would destroy multiple lives, including his own. However, to understand how this whole disaster unfolded, we first need to know what these clothing brands meant to people around the world, especially in New York City.
Nah, bro, Supreme and Bape, bro. Supreme, Bape, Kith, like all those like streetwear, like New York is a big streetwear city. So, but I think even like, but I'm not like in 2016, 2017, Supreme and Bape was popular, but I feel like it wasn't that popular. I don't remember them being that popular when niggas was like fighting over it. I don't remember, but I know he started a trend though, like
during the late 2010s. Because let's go back to 2016, and Supreme had basically become the holy grail of streetwear culture, and people were literally sleeping.
Now Supreme was popular, but I'm from Mount Vernon. I didn't see the Supreme hype like from myself. From my hood, niggas was wearing Supreme in my hood. We was wearing polo, big polo. We was wearing Hollister and polo and freaking True Legend and Juicy Couture, shit like that. We wasn't wearing Supreme. Nobody. I don't think anybody wore Supreme when we in my schools. That was like some like Soho, like city, Brooklyn, Bronx probably shit. Not where I'm from. We was wearing rugby and polo and shit like that, and polo boots.
Walks outside of Supreme stores.
We wasn't really wearing streetwear. We was wearing this like Hollister and shit like that when 2016.
Just to buy their new box hoodies. Meanwhile, you have a bathing ape, mostly referred to as Bape. That was Supreme's flashy Japanese competitor. While Supreme kept things more minimalistic, at least, and grungy, Bape, they went full rainbow camouflage and cartoon apes. But both brands had diehard followers who treated their choices kind of like a religion. Then obviously you had the
It's kind of crazy how people, like, it's like how people was really hurting people, like really unaliving niggas for Jordans, bro. Like, there was, like, Concords, Cool Grays, the Columbia 11s, all them, when they came out on Christmas, niggas was passing away for those sneakers, bro. It's fucking sneakers. Like, niggas was passing away from sneakers, bro. Like, imagine you 16. You with all your friends, and y'all let's go camp out for the new Concord 11s that come out. You go there with your friends, you get your Concords, and then a nigga robs you and takes your life for some sneakers. Fuck, this nigga's just sick.
Streetwear people who maybe owned both or wanted to own both, but your average person did not own any of this, as we're talking about $500 plus hoodies.
Yeah, my hood niggas was not wearing this.
Ironically,
the Popeye's chicken sandwich was even crazier. Food. Popeye's chicken sandwiches, niggas was unloving niggas for. People are crazy.
Now, both of these brands are cheaper because they're still, like, you could probably get a Supreme tee or Supreme hoodie for what, like $300 now?
$300? Supreme dropped that much? Bro, when I was a kid, I didn't even look at Supreme because I know I couldn't afford that shit. I was looking up. I was wearing Zara and Polo and shit. I was not looking at but I don't think I even knew what Supreme was. I knew what Bape was, but I didn't think I even see niggas Supreme around them times. Niggas was wearing like niggas. My hood, they was wearing like design like Balmains and Miris and shit. They wasn't wearing Supreme that much when I was coming up. Like I see some fly niggas wearing True Legend, YSL, Gucci belts, New York shit. But I've never seen a nigga in Supreme, I think, until I got a little older. Or like unless it was like on Facebook or Instagram or some shit.
And the dollar is worth definitely way less than what it was back in 2016. That also has a lot to do with the hype on both of them pretty much dwindling. But back then, Anthony Lopez decided that his preference was Bape, and that needed to become his purpose in life. So around 2016, Anthony or YM Bape started showing up to social media with one simple mission: convince the world that Supreme was garbage and anyone wearing it deserved to be publicly shamed. Now, Anthony wasn't some fashion insider or an industry expert. He was also just a regular dude from New York who happened to have an extremely strong opinion on what other people wore. And I guess what made him different was his willingness to take these opinions directly to the streets
and he was
all up in
big
people's face. Because
banging on
instead
my
of
chest,
just posting
big
angry
8
comments online like most haters, YM Bape, he grabbed his phone and started physically confronting strangers in Manhattan. He'd walk up to random people wearing Supreme gear and start shouting at them about their fashion choices.
And like this, how you notice? This how you notice it's so old. This is from a repost app. Yeah, I know on Instagram there was no stories, there was no DMing. You had to like have an app to repost content from Instagram. That's how you know this nigga been doing this shit 10, 12, 13 years ago. He was doing this shit.
You need to meet.
This one, you couldn't even screen record, I think, around this time. You had to repost some shit. There's no screen record.
And according to interviews he gave later,
hey, bro, I was doing YouTube when like it was hard. Like you had to have a whole different laptop or a whole different app to do your videos on them shits, bro. Because you couldn't screen record on certain laptops.
Doing this stuff without even recording it. He was just walking around Soho genuinely harassing people because he felt like he was just very passionate that he hated Supreme and he wanted Bape to be the big thing. Eventually, his friends then convinced him to start filming these encounters, and that's where everything changed.
So you were just running up on people who were wearing Supreme and just flexing on them? Just why? Because you
were. But when I was a kid, this shit was hilarious, though.
Yeah, because I was so adjusted to Supreme.
Okay.
Because these videos started going viral on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages everywhere. And people couldn't figure out why he was doing this. There was a lot of speculation if these were just skits or if this guy's actually just lost his mind over some hoodies. And these weren't just verbal arguments either, because YM Bape, he would physically grab Supreme hats off of people's heads
niggas for real.
and just
like he was really
He'd
not playing.
He'd trip them while they were walking.
No, like he was not playing though. Like he was dead serious with a Bape for Supreme. He was so serious. He was not playing. He was dead ass serious.
And then he would also do this whole like beating on his chest thing while shouting catchphrases.
Banging on my chest. Big 8. Nah, bro's really a bully. A closed bully.
Playing laughing. Ain't playing with you. He's still being a trick that man. You know what I do best.
It was definitely extremely
He was a closed bully. Like, he was a drip bully. Like, you were a certain drip, he was bullying you. Like he's like Blood vs. Crips. Like, he was the big Blood, and Supreme was the big Crips. And he was like, Supreme, you Crip, and he was Blood. But damn near. Bape, Blood, Crips, Supreme, damn near. But that he was on site. He was the first nigga on site about clothes. Now, he wasn't the first nigga, because even niggas been on site about clothes. But he was the first nigga on site about like branding of clothes, like not even like colors. It was just the brand.
Cringiness is exactly what made the content go extremely viral, because especially back then, this behavior
was
wasn't
crazy.
all over the place.
Yeah, it wasn't
Now,
popular. Now everybody doing it, but back
it
then,
kind of is. But then
niggas was not doing this. Like he was tripping back then. Now everybody trolling, but he's the original troll. Damn near.
it was somewhat unique, even though how tragic it is. Because within months, Bape transferred from some like
I
random
would
street
call it
harasser to
troll.
a legitimate internet personality. He was getting thousands of followers who was genuinely entertained by the chaos or genuinely supported his anti-Supreme crusade. And this was also during a time where Supreme got so popular, but it was so expensive that a lot of people just started hating on it because,
couldn't afford it.
like the $1,200
couldn't afford
hoodie
it.
with just Supreme on it did not make sense for most people. So a lot of people started clowning on the people who were actually buying that kind of stuff. But here's the thing, even if you knew who he was or followed his content, you still weren't safe from being pressed if you wore the wrong brand around him. Because this situation got so intense that people started genuinely avoiding certain neighborhoods in Manhattan if they were wearing Supreme. And Bape
It got
wasn't
that
just targeting
serious?
random pedestrians anymore.
Yo.
Because one of his most infamous moments was when he approached the actor Jonah Hill on the street, which led to this footage showing that Jonah was probably extremely confused and maybe slightly startled.
Got the big Supreme. Come on, man. I ain't gonna violate. Supreme tape. Y'all here. You gonna hear about me soon. I'm violating on Supreme. I'm out here. Y'all here.
Nah, bro's a legit bully.
Social media back then was definitely very different because this was also during the time of Boot Gang. Yes, it's safe to say it was pretty cursed back then. But as internet fame
Nah,
grew,
Boot Gang was
something unexpected
crazy.
happened. Major figures in
Nah,
hip-hop.
shout out Boot Gang. Boot Gang changed his life. Shout out my nigga Boot Gang. His name is John Cabana now. Don't do my nigga Boot Gang like that. John Cabana.
Up again acknowledging his existence.
W.
He was
John
spotted
Cabana.
hanging around rappers like Chief Keef, Playboy Cardi, and even brought on stage during a Lil Uzi Vert concert. But the whole thing reached peak validation when XXXTentacion referenced him in a song, basically turning the YM chest beating signature move into a mainstream hip-hop lyric. And this led him to being interviewed on No Jumper, where he got to explain his supreme hatred for hundreds of thousands of viewers. And at this point, terrorizing people for their clothing choices literally became his career. And with internet fame came some money, and Bape started investing into expensive jewelry and questionable street activity. And this is also around the time where he really starts leaning into his anti-Supreme brand. Because in 2018, he pulled off the stunt where he replaced actual Supreme advertisements around New York with posters of his own face.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on. Supreme, I'm a hate.
Yo, nah, that's crazy. I didn't see this.
Actual Supreme
Nah,
advertisements.
I know he was
around
doing
New
this
York
though. This is
with
crazy.
Posters of his own face.
Yo, this is crazy though.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on.
This is cursed Supreme. Is this real? Was he actually doing this? Like this is a real picture. This guy, but AI wasn't. This was it Photoshop? But was this real? Was he actually doing this?
Supreme, I'm a hate.
But he was definitely not finished with the street confrontations because they
But how did he even get it inside the thing?
were getting more and more wild. He started storming into actual Supreme retail stores, throwing around the merchandise, and actually screaming at employees and customers. There were also videos of him getting into serious street fights over the brand. He was also arrested multiple times for these incidents, but every time he just kept on coming back. He just kept pushing things further and further, like literally beating someone up for wearing Supreme. And obviously, I can't show that full clip.
Were you or a
Nah, bro was the ultimate crash out for the Bape. Bape should have paid broski. I know he was crashing, but I know he was crashing though. Cause I seen a lot of his videos when I was a kid. But he was crashing way deeper than I thought he was crashing. He was really crashed out.
But it was because of this behavior that he then later on claimed that someone put a bounty on him because of all the alleged harassment he's been doing. And eventually, that caught up with him. And he got jumped by a group of people who were apparently fed up with his antics. And obviously, I can't show that clip either. But in April of 2019, everything changed when Bape got shot 3 times in the chest. And the shooting happened near some housing projects on New York's Lower East Side, where Bape and his crew were allegedly based. When photos of him in the hospital started circulating online, people had mixed reactions. Some felt bad for him, and many thought he'd finally pushed the wrong
Your bro got clapped for the banging of my chest shirt? Damn.
person too far. Bape then posted some hospital photos with some dramatic captions and even filmed a music video from his hospital bed, basically turning his shooting into more content for his brand. But according to prosecutors, Bape was convinced that someone from a rival neighborhood was responsible for shooting him. And that's where his story took a big turn from internet drama to an actual criminal conspiracy. So from what I can tell, what happened next had nothing to do with Supreme or Bape or even internet fame.
Okay.
It was street-level retaliation that would end an innocent person's life. Because after getting out of the hospital, Anthony looked for someone to handle his revenge. In June of 2019, a young guy reached out to him through some text messages, offering to carry out a hit for a surprisingly small amount of money. Anthony then accepted this offer, and they started planning the attack. So on June 12th...
He about to take 1,000 to 2 bands to clap somebody? That's what I just said? Which is 3 times on New York Street. He sought a revenge. First, you developed a plan to hire somebody in murder, short for release, he's here space over, he carried a murder for 1,000 to. So he got paid 2 bands to unalive an innocent person because that's what he did. That's what he did basically. 2 bands? You got paid 2,000 to go to jail for your whole life? 2 bands. 2 bands is worth your life, brother? 2 packs? That nigga had to be homeless, poor, struggling. If you needed $2,000, take a nigga life.
Guy reached out to him through some text messages, offering to carry out a hit for a surprisingly small amount of money. Anthony then accepted this offer, and they started planning the attack. So on June 12th, 2019, Bape coordinated with several people to finalize their plan. He arranged transportation and logistics for what was supposed to be a targeted hit on whoever he thought was responsible for shooting him. So that night, the crew he hired took a taxi to the rival neighborhood. They were then looking for a specific person, but the way things ended was not how it was supposed to happen. So in the early morning hours of July 13th, they ended up near an apartment building where James Weeks was hanging out with his friends after a typical Friday night. James was a 35-year-old who had worked for Citibank and had absolutely nothing to do with any gang activity or street beef. At around 2:40 in the morning, as James was walking to his car, one of Bape's hired shooters opened fire at him from about 150 feet away. James Weeks was hit in the face, and although he made it to the hospital, he never made it out of there. And meanwhile, the person Bape was actually after was nowhere to be found. And what makes the situation even more tragic is James Weeks left behind a wife and 4 children.
So you tell me a nigga hired somebody to just do a random hit on anybody in the world? That did bro even know what he was doing? He went to go spin anybody? 34 kids and a wife, brother. Citibank worker, normal human being, 35. He just got a face shot. He's got a head tap in GTA because a nigga for 2 bands. The streets are so cooked, bro. The streets been cooked since 2013. Before that, they've been cooked. They cooked even more now, but this is baked. It was cooked, but the streets is like burnt up. They're not even cooked no more because cooked is like something that's good, but the streets is burnt. They burnt out on flames because this is ridiculous. It been cooked, but now
according to his family, he had no connection to any gang activity at all. He was literally just visiting his friends on a Friday evening and nothing more. But later that day, Bape was actually sent a screenshot of an Instagram post about the shooting that simply said, "innocent bystander." And what makes things worse is he knew they targeted the wrong person, but he didn't seem to care. Because even after learning they ended an innocent father's life, Anthony didn't stop planning. The shooters got arrested within weeks, but while they sat in jail, he kept calling them and plotting to finish what they'd started. In one recorded jail call from January of 2020, Bape told one of the arrested shooters that he had $4,000 ready for another hit. He was offering to pay double what he originally paid the first time, even though an innocent man was already gone because of his desire for revenge. And what's wild to me is he was doing this over jail calls, and for some reason this was going on for months. The guy was visiting and calling the people who ended.
Nigga on some Young Thug shit. You on some Young Thug shit? How you gonna put a hit out on a jail call when it literally says your line is being recorded? He had to be just crashed out. That's all emotion. That's all emotion right there. Like, I think a lot of this shit be all emotion. He was so mad that they did what they did to him that he was on the jail call trying to set up a hit. That's he was just all emotional about that shit. And I guess I feel you, but like, bro, you already hurt an innocent man. I don't think you just give up. Bro's like, nah, 4 more bands. Let's do it again. Like, bro, that shit's crazy.
James Weeks' life, trying to get them to complete his original plan. But unfortunately for Bape or Anthony, he was arrested in December of 2021, more than 2 years after James lost his life. And the legal proceedings revealed the full scope on what had actually been happening. This wasn't just some internet personality who got carried away with content creation. His whole Supreme hating character and banging on the chest thing was apparently connected to gang affiliations that most of his internet followers probably had no idea about.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not know he's in the gang. When I was a kid, I didn't know he was not in no gang. I thought he was just a crazy, entertaining, funny nigga doing dumb stuff. As a kid, I did not know that bro was actually in a gang.
And during the trial, prosecutors showed evidence that Wyatt Bape felt zero remorse for what had happened. Even while locked up awaiting trial, the people managing his account were posting smiling photos of him in jail on social media. So in December of 2024, a jury found Wyatt Bape guilty of murder in the first degree and conspiracy. And in March of 2025, he was sentenced to 28 years to life.
28 years. Oh, he got sentenced in March? Oh, he got sentenced in March?
To him in jail on social media. So in December of 2024, a jury found Wyatt Bape guilty of murder in the first degree and conspiracy. And in March of 2025, he was sentenced to 28
and a half years difference in Rose Percy's research first shoot of James Weeks.
Years to life.
That happened in July 2019, so that happened 6 years ago?
Prison. And the judge also noted that shortly after the killing, Wyatt Bape and his friends were caught on video seemingly happy and celebrating despite having just caused the end of someone's life. And all the other people involved got serious prison time as well. The actual shooter is looking at life in prison, and the other conspirators got death.
I literally just said the nigga literally got life in jail for 2 bands. $2,000. Them niggas had to be down bad, bro. 2 bands?
Decades behind bars. So while Wyatt Bape built his entire following by turning fashion preferences into street harassment, underneath all that viral content was someone involved in some actual street activity that had real-world consequences. Because what already looked like some harmful fashion beef on social media was already masking some serious criminal activity.
So bro had real-life beef. Bro turned to an internet bully, influencer bully. Bro got clapped, and now bro's in jail for his whole life. Yeah, like, I think his whole content was around him basically just doing illegal things. And maybe he did want to be jail. I don't know. His whole life was bound to go to jail from what he was doing. Even his content was bound to him for something to happen to him. Jail, beat up, something.
Because while his online persona was really bad, apparently he was even worse behind the scenes. An innocent family man became collateral damage and a revenge plot that stemmed from Wyatt Bape's shooting. And that's how internet fame, street politics, and fashion hatred combined created one of the most tragic outcomes we've covered here on this channel.
Nah, I did not know all that stuff about Broski. I did not know. Only thing I knew that he was banging on his chest. I did not know he went to jail for what Lil Durk is in jail for. I did not know that.
Performing on the biggest stage.
I knew he was in jail, but I ain't deep dive. I ain't deep dive. But I did not know bro was in jail because he got clapped and he tried to get revenge for 2 bands. And he got 30 years to life for it. Wow, that's crazy.